Hello everyone, I am Reverend Gartlyn Chance, pastor of the Holistic Transformation Ministries at Louis. This is a branch work of the Calvary Road Deliverance Tabernacle under the umbrella of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies. I am also a special education teacher, having taught for 34 years of my life. Bridging the Gaps will be aired on the Tobago Inspirational Network every Saturday at 8 p.m. The program is expected to keep you at the edge of your seat. Join us as we deal with issues relating to the stages of early childhood to adolescence. A pleasant good evening to you, wonderful viewers of Bridging the Gap. As you know, it's always a pleasure for me to spend this time with you on the program. I hope that you have a wonderful day tomorrow at church, because I always encourage you to make sure that you go to church and carry your charges to church and have a wonderful week. In the coming week, you have a wonderful time, especially in the presence of God. Today, I have a beautiful woman of God with me as my guest on set. The mighty woman that I have with me is Dr. Joanne Spence. She is a woman that loves the Lord, and you see me closing my eyes because of the passion that she has for God. She's a member of the Divine Destiny Worship Center. She's a minister because she ministered in our church already. You know, she's a prolific writer. She is a therapist, and she's going to tell you something about herself. Good afternoon, Joanne.
Good afternoon, viewers, and good afternoon, Gartlyn. So it is a pleasure for me to be in Tobago One and enjoying the sea and the sand. And it's a pleasure for me to be here this evening. What could I say about myself? I think you've said it all. I fellowship at Divine Destiny with Apostle Vivian Duncan. I minister out of the church many times in women's group and so on. Love the Lord. I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 1 child. What I do, I'm a therapist, a behavior change therapist and lecturer and author of a number of books. And that's me.
Okay, but I still want to hear a little bit more about your ministerial life.
Okay. I have been serving the Lord, I think it was during my late teens, in the 20s and so on. I accepted the Lord as my Savior. And that journey was just normal. I was just, you accept the Lord and you're just living life. And I think the life became, my Christian life became meaningful when, sometimes the challenges really bring you closer to God. And I thank God for the challenges I had in my life. Because of that, I drew closer to the Lord. I've learned to trust Him. They say trust but you can't trace. I've learned that to just trust God.
Yes,
when there's nothing else, no one else to turn to.
Yes.
I learned to trust God, and I saw Him come true for me. And with that, I got a passion to really serve Him, to really love Him, to be, just be in His presence.
Yes.
And I thank God for that relationship that I have with Him now. What I do, and one of the things that the Lord had taught me a long time is that my ministry, I always felt that, to minister, I have to be on the pulpit. And the Lord said to me, my ministry is in the work where what I do.
Yes.
And not every minister is on the pulpit. The Lord taught me that very early, because I felt like, I wasn't doing anything. And then the Lord said, where you are, where I placed you is where you're ministering. And with my clients, I work with them, and many of them, my students, lives are impacted because of my intervention and so on. I recognize how important it is for you to just stay in God, trust Him, be where He wants you to be. That's very, very important. It's not about where you feel you should be or where other people feel you should be, but be where God wants you to be. I don't want to be no other place.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
The program, as I told you before, it's Bridging the Gap
Yeah.
among generations. And I know, well, we just heard you talk about the love that you have for God. Who or what group, or was it a pastor, or who was the person that bridged that gap for you?
Okay, for me, my mother, although she was not saved at the time, I think I grew up in a family that was very, in terms of, well, we would call them, long time we call them very spiritual, but they very spiritual based. So we grew up in church. We were in every Sunday school. Whether they go or not, they send you. So every Sunday school you go. So as they finish one, you go to the next. So you have been in Sunday school learning the word, and you know, my parents lived the life. My mother lived the life, and that was a good example for me.
Yes.
So that was very, very important. And you know, as you talk about bridging the gap, as parents, we have to understand, you know, our lives is not just what we talk. We have to live it. People must see, the children must see in you that sense of spirituality, that sense of, you know, commitment and so on. They must see it in you. It can't be just talking, because many of us, we talk it and we don't live it, and our children just watch us and they do different. You know, it's so important for us to live the life, for us to be examples. I call it mentoring, you know, that's bridging that gap. I talk about mentoring, and it's really about living a life that you're, and leaving a legacy so that your children will see and want to follow. You know, that's so important. So for me, my mother she started the groundwork in terms of her lifestyle, how she lived and so on. And then I thank God very early, my pastors, both Apostle Gemma and Vivian Duncan, they have really been mentors to me. I grew up with them years and know them, personally, and they have been really, really there for us. They are not just father, they are parents. We call them our spiritual parents. Really parent us and guide us and motivate us. Doing my degrees, actually, it was my pastor encouraging me. Doing my doctorate was my pastor encouraging me. So, you know, you need people like that who would really fill that gap. You know, who would really watch you and say, listen, you have, you know, the potential in you. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead, you can do it. You know, and that has, I always remember, as you know, sometimes I was doing some studies and the apostle would say, how are you doing? You say, yes, go, you can do it. You know, that encouragement from somebody. And for some of us who don't have parents to do it, because my mother died years ago, my father also died. So you need somebody in life that would help you to bridge that gap. And you know, my apostles were the ones too. So for those of you who are listening and you don't have a mother or father, you know, look for someone, and I'm not saying, when I'm saying someone, I want you to understand me. I want you to look for someone in terms of a spiritual person who would give you that guidance, because we have other persons also who guiding in the wrong way. So I want you to say, listen, look for somebody as a pastor, as a mentor, to mentor you, to help bridge that gap. So important.
And it just came to my mind when you spoke about mentorship, because the whole concept of bridging the gap, of passing on the information from generation to generation, mentorship is important. I just remembered some years ago, you played an integral role in a mentorship program. I think it was a national program that they had developed in was Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, well, actually the program is not, I developed the program for the government.
All right.
It was a passion, because I said to you that I strongly believe in mentoring. That's the only way we'll get the next generation to move forward. We have to mentor them. We have to get persons who could help guide them through the process.
Oh yes.
And so I developed that mentorship program, and I took it to the government, and we developed the National Mentorship Program through the Ministry of National Security. That program has been very successful. We had a number of persons who mentored passed through the program. Persons who were at risk, they pull those persons and put them into the program to kind of guide them.
Okay.
Yes. Apart from that, I've done mentoring in different organizations. I've written a book on mentoring, mentoring troubled youth. So I've been doing a lot of work in terms of mentoring. Actually, I'm doing mentoring in the church now. We have persons who come into the church, and as you come into the church, if you don't have anybody to kind of guide you, you might just slip in and slip out. So the Lord said to me, you know what, we have to look at these new mentors, these new members that come in and put a seasoned mentor, a seasoned saint with them, which is a seasoned member of the church. Put that person with them and help them, walk them through the process. you know, so that they wouldn't slip out.
Okay.
So that's another aspect of the mentoring.
I still want to talk a little about that program. Were the objectives achieved, you think?
Well, for the period of time that we have had, a number of persons who passed through the program has been very successful.
Okay.
So yes, I would say yes, because it's a pity that the program no longer exists.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you.
It's a pity. I know that there was some financial situation and they had to stop the program, but it's a program that is really needed.
Yes.
Many lives were impacted because and then you found that the persons who were mentoring felt that they were actually making an impact in society when they were able to touch somebody's lives. You know, so people felt there was a sense of meaningfulness in terms of where they are, and I felt that was a program that was needed.
Because I remember in the initial stages, they had a session at Works conference room, at the Works Division conference room, and I think they were connecting groups of young persons with a mentor.
And I want to say to you, when you talk about the mentors, we actually trained and screened those mentors. So it wasn't just taking somebody in society and putting them. We screened the persons and show us a good upright person in society, and then we train them and then we match them. So it was actually picking the persons we put in that.
So that program was developed particularly for the government.
Yes, I
am wondering if the church, I'm looking at the church, you know, because if we're talking about bridging the gap and passing on, you know, the information to the next generation, and when I say pass on the information, I'm talking about like what it spoke about in the Bible. We don't want a lost generation. We want them to know about the gospel of Christ. We want that when we would pass on, that they will carry it on. We don't want a lost generation. So I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is the place for me to ask you, you ever thought about, because even within the church, we need the professionals to help us.
Before you finish it, I am so happy to hear that from you, because actually yesterday on the news I heard, because we recognize how the rate of crime is high.
Yes.
And a father who lost his son yesterday on television was saying, where's the church? The church is very absent. Where's the church? And yes, we know we are doing things, but as though we are not doing enough. And he, as an unsaved person, is crying out and saying, here, where's the church? They need to be intervening in these situations, because he lost his son and he felt that nobody's doing anything. He said the government can't do everything. Where's the church? And so I'm glad to hear you say that today, because it means that some persons believe that yes, this is a place where the church could go in and do something. And so I'm totally in agreement for that, because if we don't do it, then who?
That's it, and then we are one body.
That's right.
Doesn't matter where you're geographically located.
That's right.
We are one body. And I'm thinking that if somebody could come up with a blueprint, and you have already done the work,
yes, I have,
then that could be sold
straight into
the church.
Straight into the church.
You know, just yesterday I had an encounter with a young girl. She comes to our church. She travels about 20 miles. She lives at Lambo, and you know our church is at Louis. And her birthday was during the week, and I told her, say, I'll take you out. You know, so we went out yesterday afternoon. Now I thought I was just taking her out, but God had it that I took her out. And we were talking, and you know, she was asking me some questions. And I could have seen that she was looking for like a mentor. I know that she's that type of person, but you know, while we were talking, we were eating and talking, we were next to the beach, and she said, Mommy, they call me Mommy. Many of them in church call me Mommy. And she said, Mommy, you know, if I had a mother like you, I would have done better. And then she burst out in tears. She was crying, and I was asking her, well, I knew that something, you know, emotionally something was taking place, but it was her birthday and I didn't want to push that kind of thing. But then, you know, eventually she said, to make a long story short, she said, Mommy, are you willing to help me? And I felt for her. I said, what do you want me to help you with? Because I'm a pastor. We do things together. We go places. She said, help me to get my O-levels because you're a teacher. And she was crying. But she had her face turned from me. And she said, my mommy didn't do that. My mommy couldn't help us to do anything. And I said, perhaps your mommy didn't know how.
That's right.
Because I don't know the experiences that your mommy, you know, may have been through. You know, even the previous week I was talking to a young lady and she was telling me about her father. She doesn't like her father and that kind of thing. And I was telling her, say, let's not beat them so hard because some of them went through worse than what you went through. And they just didn't know how to do it. We have delinquents, but then there are those who do it as best as they could. And that's where we come in the church. The church is needed today.
Yeah, and I just want to go back a little bit about the parents, because the thing is that you talk about we have delinquents, but that's learned behavior.
Yes.
So that even the delinquent person, parent, is somebody who may not know better.
That's it.
That's learned behavior. That's how my parents taught me. Many times in counseling, when I talk to couples, the man will say, listen, I love her, and she said, no, you don't love me, but he's saying, listen, I don't know what else to do. That's what I learned. That's what my father taught me. That's what they learn, and that's why the mentor is so important.
Yes.
To come and teach your children, you know, a man into the man's life, young man's life, to teach him how you treat a woman and things like that. A young woman in another young woman's life, to teach her, you know, how you're supposed to be treated by a man and things like that, how you love the Lord and things like that. This is what we want, and that's why I truly believe in the mentorship, the whole mentoring aspect. You know, and if the church can go out there and mentor persons, I mean, who better to mentor those who really know God and know how to live and have some sort of morals and values? Who else is better to do it?
Yes.
You know, so that is something that I would embrace any day.
And even if it started on TIN, it's a good place to start, because what we're talking here is real situations. I had an encounter again with a young gentleman. He's about in his 30s, and he had a relationship in the village where I pastor. Now, he's not a member of the church, but the girl that he has a relationship with, she comes to the church. And they had a falling out, and the girl probably moved away, and there was a little... And this boy never came to our church. But we are friends of the community, so they know that if they have a problem, they could always come in and talk. And one morning before church started, somebody called me and said, somebody's outside to you. And I went, it was a gentleman. And that boy gave his heart out to me. He said, Pastor, and they call me pastor even if I'm not the pastor. The girl left. She left me, and I want you to help me to get her back. She said, Pastor, I don't know how to treat a woman, because I never see nobody treat a woman nice. And he talked it plain. He said, I don't know, Pastor, I want you to teach me how to teach, because I don't want to lose her. So I want somebody to teach me. I'm willing to learn. My father never teach me. I never see my father. The things that she asked me to do, I never see my father do that. So I need somebody to teach me how to, so that I could, that she wouldn't leave me. And you notice how I'm talking? The boy was just like that. So as we're talking about it, I remember the mentorship program, and I am saying, apart from us preaching the gospel, yes, it is important. The word of God is important. It's sharper than any two-edged sword.
That's right.
How much more effective would it be if we could involve those other areas? You know? You
could just imagine, be as a church going out there and impacting in our communities. Every member of the church going out there and finding a mentee.
Yes.
And pulling persons who aren't saved. And it's not about just pulling them in church and having them in church, you know. Go out there with them, socialize with them, sometimes having a lunch with them, and sit down and talk and find out. Because listen to me, you are able to get persons when they're in need. At the greatest need, that's the time that you can get them. Once you can fill that need, that's the time you can get them. So when you get them in that spot, that's the time you can talk Christ with them. So what we are saying, listen, this is a great opportunity for the church to go there. The crime in Crete has been, the rate of crime has been increasing. Everybody don't know what to do. People say we don't know what next. The church has an excellent opportunity. Let's go out. The mothers are hurting.
And the one-on-one is important.
And it's not about going and say, God.
You have to be saved. You have to be saved.
Our lifestyle is very important. Let me tell you something as we talk about that. I remember working in the prison for a number of years as a consultant, and there's this particular consultant who works in the prison also, and we used to say hello, good evening, whatever, and we would talk about work. And so I never told her anything about Christ, I saved, nothing, you know, we just talking and working. One day she came to me and she said, where you go to church? So I told her. The next Sunday she was in church, and since that she had been in church. Why? I didn't say Jesus,
lifestyle.
your life speaks a lot.
Yeah.
Your life speaks a lot.
And that's why
and that's why it's important for us to understand it's not about just talking Christ.
Amen.
We have to live it.
Amen.
And when these people in the community see you,
Yeah.
a neighbor said to me some time ago, she said, Joanne, you know, I need the neighbors to watch you and talk and recognize, you know, how you kept yourself after your husband left. And they talk about that, and listen, you don't know that people watching you.
Of
For
course.
years they have been watching, and she said, you were
yeah.
able to watch and we admire that about you.
You see your life, your words. The Bible talk about it.
Yep.
Your words, your works, and your actions.
So imagine us with that kind of impact, going to the communities with the unsaved ones and making a difference. Listen to me. You might go into a home and the parent may not have food, and you might be able to carry a pot of food for the children, or you might start with buying some books for the children, or some clothes, uniform, or something like that. And that as you start that, you open there's a relationship and an open door, and you're able to do something.
And they see Christ in you.
That's right, and that's how you will be able to win them. Don't come and tell them you need to change this and need to change that. You
stop
don't start
drinking,
there.
stop smoking.
Yes, that's it. As I tell people, a sinner always sin. A sinner will expect a sinner.
But that's what a sinner will do.
That's right. So don't say why he's smoking, why he's drinking. That's what he will do. So what we have to do is to teach them the Christ and show them the love. Let Christ be living in us so that they can see. You know, that's so important.
But perhaps we need a template. I remember some time ago, this therapist, what's her name? Her husband was a member of the UNC. He taught me at college.
Yes, I know Dr. Diane Douglas.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Douglas had it was a group, it was a counseling, I can't remember it. Trinidad and Tobago. I think she was encouraging lay persons to be counselors.
Oh, lay counselors, yes.
Right. And she came to Tobago and she developed this group. I don't know if it's time or money or what. It fell through for Tobago, but the thing was to get counselors within the churches.
That's right.
Because you see, sometimes we say, oh, we have counselors. Everybody puts up a thing on the TV or on the thing. For counseling calls once, but people are not trained to be counselors.
And that's important.
And sometimes we create more damage.
That's right.
Than, because I know in my training, for counseling, if you're not trained to deal with a particular area, you refer, you do not deal with it. Yes, I know as pastors, generally we will do pastoral counseling, but there are some things that we are not trained, some of us are not trained
some of the
to deal with.
Trained at all in terms of counseling, and we have to understand that, and we have to understand, and that's why we have professionals.
That's it.
And God has sent us to learn that so that we be able to go and make the impact. So don't feel how, if that's not your area of expertise, refer to somebody. It might be somebody in your church who train in that area, refer it, because we can do more damage.
And then we have them in the church.
That's right.
We have them in the church.
Yes. So let's use them.
And that is a very important area even in the church. Yes, God will move. Sometimes people they go through the process of deliverance. And when I say deliverance, the practical thing where they vomit and things happen, demons talk, and sometimes they're so scared it affects their mind. And then they become depressed. Nobody to counsel them and to pull them back.
After all the deliverance, and yes, the person got healed and whatever, they need somebody to sit and talk.
Of course.
I want to know what's happening. You need somebody to guide them to go the next process in terms of where do I go from here. They need that. So we have to understand that's why God have us trained as professionals.
That's it.
And I'm saying that you need to marry the two. As a Christian, you need to marry a profession, because the fact is, it's not, you can't live separate. It have to be you as a person, as a Christian person, and as a professional person.
Yes.
And we need to be able to use that.
Because you see, you're dealing with people's minds,
right.
Even in the pastoral area, you're dealing with people's minds. In teaching, you're dealing with people. You have to understand how people think, how they relate, how they interact, and it is so important. But I often hear pastors say at times, I would hear pastors saying, you don't need psychologists. Psychologists are not needed where church is concerned.
Why did God send us to do it?
Of course. Jesus had it all.
If he felt, listen to me, if he felt that was not needed, why would he send us?
Of course. And not only that, why are there doctors to deal with the physical?
Yes.
Why is it that when your hand hurt or you have diabetes, you go to a doctor
Yes, yes.
to deal with the physical.
That's right.
Don't we understand that sometimes there are
Mental.
problems in
I
the
told people
mind
that
as
all the
well,
time. I
and
tell
you
people
need a
that.
psychologist?
You need just to
Of
me.
course.
The physical is just as important as the mental.
Yeah.
Just as important. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, the mental is even more important. And people don't understand that, you know.
Because-
And that's why listen. I wrote sick leave for people because if you're emotionally unwell, you have to be able to get some kind of.
And sometimes it affects the physical.
Yes.
It starts here. The sickness starts here, and then it goes to the body.
And then how it manifests itself in terms of
Yeah.
pressure and sugar and all
Of
those things
course.
manifested.
And that's why there's a stigma still attached to mental issues.
That's right.
Because your body could be sick and nobody will say anything about you. In fact, you could have AIDS. And people view you more positively than if you have depression.
Yes, and that's why those who are depressed and those who are mentally ill, not to the stage of mentally off, but from the time there's some sort of mental illness, people hide. They don't go for help.
And they get worse. Yes.
And that's the problem we have.
And I think we need to address it from the level of the church.
Yes.
Especially for those of us who understand.
So I'm glad to hear you speaking that way, because it's about time the church get out there.
And we often say that the
impact.
human dimension is the physical, the emotional, the mental, psychological. So how come we feed in the spiritual alone and we're not dealing with those areas?
Right.
You know, time is upon us.
So, Pastor, I'm glad that that's the way you want to go. I'm glad to hear you speak of that. It's good to hear that pastors are really talking about it in terms of the holistic development of individuals. That's
I think we need to, this is where it started. I think we will go further with it.
Yes.
Because this is a generation that needs us. And if we have people who are trained, not only in the word, but you're trained in other areas, we need to use those people to benefit those who are. And we will have more people saved, I believe.
Yes.
Because when they get the help,
that's right,
they will stay right there. I thank you for, you see, the time is on us.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
It was, I wanted us to go for, we could have gone the whole afternoon, because this is pertinent, this is relevant.
That's right.
To not only in the secular area, but to the church.
That's right.
There are a number of people in church who are mentally.
You're quite right.
Okay? So it was good speaking with you. And you know, I'm looking forward to us talking again, and not just talking, but we must have a forum.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
A physical forum outside of TIN, where we could have people come and we could share things and that kind of thing. But it was good discussing with you. I look forward to another, you know, you're not only here to enjoy the beach this time, but
listen, wherever you go, even on the beach, there's ministries.
So
I understand that. I understand that.
So be blessed. Viewers, it was good spending this time with you. I know you enjoyed it, and I know that you're looking forward to more. You're going to hear more from Dr. Joanne Spence as the months or the days roll on. I thank you. Have a wonderful church day tomorrow, and even those who are going to church today, be blessed. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, I am Reverend Gartlyn Arthur Chance, pastor of the Holistic Transformation Ministries at Louis. This is a branch work of the Calvary Road Deliverance Tabernacle under the umbrella of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies. I am also a special education teacher, having taught for 34 years of my life. Bridging the Gaps will be aired on the Tobago Inspirational Network every Saturday at 8 p.m. The program is expected to keep you at the edge of your seat. Join us as we deal with issues relating to the stages of early childhood to adolescence.